We are here for our freedom because it's our right. And today is our first congressional briefing. And we have our special guest here. We Biafrans are familiar with who he is. He's someone who advocates for freedom, human rights, and also religious rights. We have our special guest, Marco Ruby. And Marco Ruby is Senior Fellow, American Enterprise Institute. Thank you, Marco.
Thank you very much, Mr. Acting Prime Minister. I don't need, first of all, it's good to see Biafra represented so well in Washington, D.C. Unlike in Nigeria, and unlike in Finland, we're not going to arrest dissidents. I'm a historian by training, and especially with this audience, we don't need to tell you that Biafra may have redeclared its independence, but it is a long history. And if we count the maps that European merchants, geographers, and other travelers made dating back to the 17th century, then Biafra is actually older than the United States of America. We're not talking about a so-called secession. We're talking about decolonization. And when we look at Africa today, we must recognize that the problem of colonialism is no longer based in London and in Paris. It's based in places like Abuja and Lagos. The fact of the matter is, and for that matter, Yaoundé as well, the fact of the matter is that we are witnessing a second wave of decolonization in Africa right now. Biafra, Amazonia, Somaliland are at the front line of a struggle for freedom. Religious freedom, as well as simply personal, economic freedom, political freedom. The fact of the matter is, though, when we talk about that front line of colonialism, Biafra, Amazonia, Somaliland, we're also talking about a response to genocide. The fact of the matter is, when we look at the modern history of Biafra and we see some of the key figures represented on this podium, and it's so appropriate that we're sitting here in a room dedicated to Veterans Affairs, to honor the veterans of the Biafra struggle. The fact of the matter is that they did not start the struggle for Biafran rights. Nigeria did. Nigeria has agency. They have decision-making. No one forced Nigeria to undertake the pogroms of 1966. That was a decision that was made in Lagos. And what we have seen, the struggle for freedom in Biafra, is a natural response to the repression, which is now more than 60 years old inside Nigeria, and especially with regard to Biafra. Now, we can talk about genocide. And unfortunately, what has occurred in Biafra in the late 1960s and so forth, isn't the only case of genocide that the 20th century has seen. But what makes the history and the recognition of the Biafran genocide so important is this: When the Jews suffered the Holocaust, Germany afterwards acknowledged the Holocaust. The ideology that led to Nazism became stigmatized. Yes, there are still Nazis today, but it is an ideology which is outside the realm of acceptable belief. The problem with genocide denial isn't simply a denial of fact, a denial of history. But when you don't acknowledge the genocide, then what you're actually doing is throwing a life raft to the ideology upon which that genocide occurred. So when you have someone like the late Muhammadu Buhari, whose hands were covered in blood from the events of the Biafra genocide, rise to the presidency of Nigeria without anyone acknowledging his role, that simply perpetrates and legitimizes that genocide. Now, when it comes to genocide denial, I also have this to say. When people debate foreign policy in the United States, one of the progressive slogans that we hear time and time again is no blood for oil. Well, I have a message for Alexander Stubb. No genocide for oil. Finland has been a disgrace. Stubb has kowtowed to Turkey at the expense of the Kurds, at the expense of other dissidents, for the sake of getting Turkey to lift its de facto veto for Finland's NATO membership. Now he's kowtowing to the Nigerian government by arresting Simon Ekpa for the sole reason of advocating against genocide and of providing, frankly, at this point, the only reasonable way forward given the actions of the Nigerian state. Now, we can't engage in wishful thinking, and unfortunately that has been the problem in the United States. I would argue that Europe is more engaged in a cynicism, where they simply want Nigeria's oil, and let's be frank, it's not Nigeria's oil. It's Biafra's oil, the Delta region and so forth. The fact of the matter is they feel it's easier to have a relationship with a dictator, and they're going to look the other way. Never let the Europeans pretend that they stand as a representative of human rights when they act in such a cynical, racist, and way that is so contrary to life, liberty, justice, freedom, political rights. The fact of the matter is the Europeans need to be called out each and every day for that. Finland, especially. Now, I would go so far as saying Finland doesn't deserve the plaudits that so many people, Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch, tend to ascribe to Scandinavian powers. I would today argue that through its actions behind the scenes, by laundering the Nigerian government, by allowing, by cynically using this mantle which it had developed over decades as a protector of human rights, that Finland has become one of the most cynical promoters of human rights abuses, on par with Russia, with China, and with others. The only difference is Russia and China are much more open about what they're doing. Finland thinks they can have it both ways. Now, when it comes to the United States, however, the United States isn't blameless. We have two problems here. The first is the problem of the American perception of history. Whether you're Republican, whether you're Democrat, I don't care. And the fact of the matter is Biafra, like Cyprus, like India, should be a bipartisan cause. There's nothing partisan about freedom and liberty. And I say that as someone who personally is a Republican, but I was a Congressional Black Caucus Foundation fellow working for the late Congressman Bill Gray, who was a Democrat. So I say this not just as wishful thinking, but someone who truly believes in the importance of principle and its triumph over cynical partisanship. But let's face it, both the Republicans and the Democrats have a problem, and American society in general, and that's our general ignorance of history. In our own political culture, whether it's a Republican coming in after years of Democratic power or a Democrat coming in after years of Republican power, there's a tendency to believe that history is only 4 or 8 years long, and that every president who enters the Oval Office or Secretary of State who enters that 7th floor of their office of the Dwight D. Eisenhower building in Foggy Bottom, that they can somehow have a tabula rasa, that the past doesn't matter. Well, let me set the record straight. The past does matter. The past can't be forgotten. And we wouldn't be here today if it weren't for repeated efforts to work within the system, only to be crushed by Nigerian corruption, Nigerian dictatorship, and Nigerian cynicism. And if I may, Nigerian religious animosity on the parts of some sectarian communities. Now, one problem, of course, is then that U.S. historical ignorance, and this is where it's so important for the Biafrans to really rally, to meet with Democrats, to meet with Republicans, not to meet and spend all those times meeting with those who agree with you, but actually concentrating their efforts on those who disagree. The fact of the matter is, Americans need an education in history, and they need an education in history quickly, because the price of American ignorance is going to be tragedy and more killings in Biafra. Now, that's one problem. The other problem is a tendency of the United States to engage in wishful thinking. There are 2 types of ambassadors that the State Department sends abroad. And I'm not talking about professional ambassadors, civil service, foreign service versus political appointees. There's some good political appointees, there's some bad political appointees, and the same thing is true with the professional foreign service. But among ambassadors, however they get their job, there's 2 general styles. One style, and we've seen this too often in Nigeria, and I can name other places where we've seen this, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Somalia as well, takes an ambassador, and that ambassador believes that the best way to represent American interests is to ingratiate themselves to a dictator, to have zero tension with that dictator, and that oftentimes means amplifying that dictator's propaganda, his rhetoric, to his face. Well, the State Department should realize and should recognize that dictators have no shortage of sycophants. It shouldn't be the job of American ambassadors to join the sycophants. George Shultz, the Reagan-era Secretary of State, was famous when a new ambassador was appointed. He would bring them up to his office, which was an elegant room, not unlike this which we're standing in the U.S. Congress. And he had a big globe next to his desk, and he would always ask the ambassador appointee, point to your country on the globe. And if they pointed to Nigeria, or they pointed to France, or they pointed to Burma, or they pointed to Pakistan, God help them, he would point to the United States and say, this is your country. You never forget it. When we send ambassadors abroad, their job should be to speak truth to power. It shouldn't be to kowtow to a dictator. And if that means calling out Nigeria for its abuses in Biafra, for its abuses of religious freedom, so be it. It may mean you're not going to get invited as the ambassador to this reception or that state dinner. Well, that's the price of being an ambassador and being truthful. Your job isn't to make a dictator feel good. It's to promote American interests as a U.S. ambassador. And one of the top American interests is religious freedom. The reason why religious freedom should be such a top priority is it really is the canary in the coal mine. It really is the metric by which to see whether a dictator's rhetoric and actions meet. When former Secretary of State Antony Blinken went to Nigeria and he met with the late Muhammadu Buhari, and he removed Nigeria from the religious freedom watch list, that was wishful thinking. It didn't make Nigeria a better place. It didn't stop the killings in Biafra. It didn't stop the killings elsewhere in Nigeria. All it did was signal to the Nigerian government that they could quite literally get away with murder. Wishful thinking has consequence. The United States also needs not to believe its own spin and not to try to force, cynically use the Biafran issue to advance its other causes. So, for example, I don't know how many times I've talked to people who are partial to the Nigerian government in the United States and will accept the Nigerian lies. And they will say that what we see happening in the Southeast has nothing to do with religious hatred, with religious intolerance on the part of the Nigerian government. It's all about climate change. Let me tell you this, and I've actually said this to the State Department. Climate change does not charter buses in order to ship Fulani militiamen into Biafra to kill Christians. That's not China. That's not climate change. That's ethnic cleansing. That's religious hatred. That's sectarian cleansing. American wishful thinking isn't polite. It doesn't make diplomacy easier. It simply gets people killed. And this is also why it's so important for the Biafran people to rise up and not only work to establish their freedom in Biafra, to reestablish their country. It's also important for them to educate Americans. Now, as many of you know, my background and what I did when I worked at the Pentagon actually focused much more in Middle East history. That's what my PhD is in, and so forth. And having worked for more than 2 decades on issues that have some parallels, let me say this, and this may be controversial to say. Nigeria can't always be the enemy. And the reason I say this is, while Biafra must be free, there can be no compromise on it. At the same time, an independent Biafra is only going to thrive when Nigeria, its neighbor, is at peace with itself and with its neighbors. The fact of the matter is, the Biafrans are an engine of democracy. They were always historically the intellectual capital, the economic capital of Nigeria when they were under Nigerian occupation. But at the same time, they have a role not only to win freedom for Biafrans, but that freedom is only going to be confirmed when Nigerians also win their freedom, when corruption no longer governs Nigeria, and when the Nigerian military and Nigerian politicians don't cynically use religion in order to advance their own Swiss bank accounts. This is important, and this is a conversation, for example, it's understandable that you focus on Biafra, but this is an example which I've had conversations in the past with Iraqi presidents and prime ministers and Kurdish presidents and prime ministers, and there's a recognition, despite the century-long struggle of the Kurds, the so-called largest people without a nation, to win their freedom, to win their independence. Many of them have also come to recognize that that independence is going to take real reform instead of ruin for their neighbor next door. I've had this conversation with the Cypriots and the Greeks, vis-a-vis Turkey as well. Turkey is a problem today, and Turkey is a problem which is going to work with the Nigerian government in order to kill Biafrans.
Greetings. Turkey is going to work with Nigerian government in order to kill Biafrans. And also, Nigeria will use religious cycle to undermine the freedom of Biafran people and every other people that wants to be free from Nigeria. And that is what is happening. Today they are using the jihadist terrorist groups to undermine your freedom. They pay some of them. They even recruit some of them and they integrate some of them into your communities. Greetings to Biafran people and to all lovers of freedom. And you're welcome to this late night broadcast. Please, as a reminder, tomorrow is our fundraising. And also, next tomorrow, being Sunday, is our town hall meeting. So we invite everybody to be part and parcel of it. Do not stay on the fence. Come in, participate, contribute your quota, and record your name in the book of Biafra. Ise, Ise, Ise. Don't miss our fundraising tomorrow. Make sure you come in to record your name. And on Sunday is Canada Town Hall meeting. Don't miss out. Come and support Biafra Lizen Canada. Come and support Biafra Lizen Canada. And prepare for your own state and country so that we can also come around to be with you. Every state, every country needs to raise their flag. Let it be seen and known that your license is working. Thank you very much in anticipation, and we look forward to seeing all of you. Thank you, Biafran people, and thank you, our leaders that lived before us, and thank you, our leaders that are still alive, those in prison, and our PM that is still outside here with us, and Biafran people in the homeland, and everyone that supports Biafra. Entire BRJ cabinet, we salute you, the BDF in the homeland, the de facto government, we salute all of you. Yes, in a pace of 48 hours, Nigerian leaders vacated Nigeria while everywhere were burning. The terrorists were on rampage to slit throats, to cut pregnant babies, pregnant mothers and babies in their wombs to pieces. They kidnap, they maim, they annihilate, they desolate communities, and they took over everything that did not belong to them. Because the enemy comes, but for one thing, to steal, to kill, and to destroy, and to take what does not belong to them. This they came, they did, they conquered, and they succeeded. Within 24 hours, over 3 places were bombed in Maiduguri. While the Senate president, the president, the wife of the president, the defense minister, the army chiefs, the naval chief, the Air Force, the security advisor, the minister of defense, the governor of Lagos, I think also the governor of Akwa Ibom, many of them, whether the governor of Enugu also, They were all there in UK. I think Cubana chief priest was also there. I don't know if Peter Obi saw an opportunity to also make it there. I don't know. I heard it was there, but I didn't have time to watch. But it is very disheartening to watch and see that while your country is in flames, that is when you are enjoying the horse riding carriage. You're enjoying the horse riding carriage in Windsor, in UK, when your communities are burning, when your babies are gnashing their teeth, when they are running away from their communities and handing them over to terrorists who have come to conquer them. The meeting of UK was not to your own interest. For those of you that still claims to be Nigerians, the meeting of UK was to see that there is a way forward for the Iranian terrorist government. I want everybody to listen and understand this very clear. There are some media publications and interviews. BBC, CNN, they did interview of, I think they did Minister of Information of Nigeria, then they did Buala. When you listen to the interview, they talk and then they raise key points. And some of the key points they raise lands at where? What will Nigeria do to ease the issue of oil and gas that has been scrambled by the war in Iran by America and Israel? And the Nigerian government gave them the assurance. Their spokesperson there were saying Nigeria is eager and ready to fit into the play to supply oil and gas to every country that is ready to get some, in order to replace the necessity of Iran. So, the visit of UK was not then for your own interest. It was to see how Nigeria, the resources, the oil and gas, could be used as substitute, as a replacement to take care of what is happening in Iran. So these are the things you need to understand, and you need to learn very quick so that you get used to it. Are you getting the point? Because ordinarily you would think, is Tinubu going to UK for your own good? Nigerians, I'm talking to you. Tinubu did not go to UK for your own good. All those scam and shambles decoration that you saw is just for the fools that do not understand what happens. The main aim of UK visit of Nigeria was to see a reminiscence or a rekindle light, a replacement and assurance of how Nigerian oil and gas can come in to substitute Europe, UK, and many other nations that are benefiting from Iran terrorist handiwork, since America and Israel have put them into one corner. So UK are looking for a way of resurging Nigeria for them to become a replacement for Iran oil and gas business. To do what? To fulfill their test for what they want to face. Instead of them to join hands with America and Israel to open the Strait almost so that they can get what they want. No, they rather not put their hand because they don't want to come and put their hand in the war to do anything. They want to put the blame game on America and Israel. They want to stand idly by and watch. Now they want to use Nigeria to play another game. They want to use Nigeria to balance the equation. They want to use Nigeria to see if they can research the oil and gas test so that they can replace what Iran was doing. And what do they get in return? They need more money to fund the Boko Haram terrorists because Iran and Nigeria is one and the same thing. The way Iran hangs a 19-year-old athlete, a wrestler who won medals for Iran. Have you ever seen America hang or kill their own athlete who runs and win medals for America, who brings medal home for America? Have you ever seen America? Have you seen America hang their own athlete to death? Have you even seen the UK hang their own athlete to death? I'm asking a very simple question. Have you seen this happen in America? Have you seen this happen in UK? Have you seen this happen in Europe? That they hang their own athlete to death because he joined the protesters to protest against the terrorist regime to come to an end. So the Iranian terrorist regime, they held this wrestler who is an international athlete who represented Iran internationally and won medals for Iran. They held him, they hung him, and they killed him. Public execution. Why did they kill him? Did they kill anybody? No. They killed him because he joined the massive protest to call for an end to Iran. Oh my God. So there is nothing different from Iran and Nigeria. There's nothing different from Nigeria and Iran. There's nothing different from Iran and Nigeria. There's nothing different from the Boko Haram and the terrorist regime in Iran. They will do more of it if given the opportunity. So, UK visit to UK welcome visit of Nigerian leaders, starting from the president to the rest of them, was not for anything good to Nigerians. It is to satisfy the interests of UK. It is to see if UK will still have another spot or if Nigerian people can give them another assurance that they can still continue to use them as war shields, human shields, to collect weapons while they are shooting at people. Terrorists in Nigeria have done enough, but the UK do not care about it. In the entire speech and session of the UK, there was no place where they made mention of the genocide that is happening in Nigeria. No, the genocide in Nigeria was avoided, the mention of it was avoided, and nothing of it was allowed to come through. Tinubu spoke. He avoided mentioning the genocide in Nigeria, and the royal king spoke. He avoided mentioning the genocide in Nigeria. The other one that they call the wife of Tinubu also spoke. She also avoided mentioning the genocide. So, what they are presenting to the world is that there is no Christian genocide in Nigeria, and there is no genocide of any kind. That whatever people are saying in Nigeria does not exist to them. What exists to them is their economic interest. They don't give a damn about how many babies, women, and children are being slaughtered in Nigeria on a daily basis. The only thing they are concerned about is what are the modalities that they have to make use of in order to get oil and gas. Listen on to the crap here. The only thing that is interesting to them is the modalities they have to use to get the oil and gas which they.
Eid Mubarak. Mr. President, in anticipation of Eid al-Fitr in Nigeria and across the world, I can only wish you and the millions of Muslims in our countries Eid Mubarak. And in doing so, let me propose a toast to the President and people of Nigeria. Niger no day carry last.
You see, they told you that Nigeria no they carry last. So while your babies, women, and children are being slaughtered on a daily basis, Nigeria no they carry last in carrying the dead bodies of their babies, women, and children. So Nigeria no they carry last in anything. So you will not carry last in the terrorism that is taking over your babies on your communities. As far as the UK royal family gets the oil and gas that they want, so Nigeria no go carry last. And they all laugh, they chuckle, and they enjoyed the show. There was no mention or discussion of the bombings in Nigeria, the genocide in Nigeria. No, that is not the pressing need now to them. Just like I explained to you, the reason behind this visit is not about you. It's about UK existence. It's about how UK will sustain with your oil and gas, not minding the genocide that is happening there. It's about what UK can get. It's about what UK have to do so that they can be able to get the assurance and the guarantee that for the next 10 years and for the next 5 years, they have no issue. So, those of you that are sleeping and snoring and you forget yourself, Biko, wake up. Because Nigeria did not go to UK for you. Nigeria went to UK for the interest of UK. How will Nigeria substitute the oil and gas supply of Iran so that UK can be okay? So that some of the European countries can be okay. That is the reason why they send Mazi Simon Ekpa to prison. Because of some of you Igbo criminals who betrayed Biafra, you signed documents and papers, you wrote letters to European Commission so that they can kill all Biafrans who identify with Biafra Republic government in exile. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's lawyers, they are there. His brothers are there. The wife is there. DOS are there. Then they use Bruce Fenn, law firm, to write the letter. Una plenty. That is why the curses that await many of you will haunt you all to your next generations. There is something some of you need to understand. You see, every day we talk about Ifejuna and Ogbabi Asika. Yes, every day we talk about Ifejuna and Ogbabi Asika. People that arose to eliminate Ojukwu and Philip Effiong. When you see Ojukwu and Philip Effiong behind me, they are not there for no just cause. They are there for a reason. To always reconnect your mind, for you to understand the genesis of Biafra, how they started, how they came together, how they stood their ground, and how they fought, and how Ojukwu saw that amongst all the people that surrounded him, he needed to have Effiong as his backbone, because without Effiong being his backbone, his fellow kinsmen would have eliminated him long time ago. Long time, because they had planned and do everything finished.
President, in anticipation of Eid al-Fitr in Nigeria and across the world, I can only wish you and the millions of Muslims in our countries Eid Mubarak. And in doing so, let me propose a toast to the President and people of Nigeria. Niger no day carry last. Mr. President, in anticipation of Eid al-Fitr in Nigeria and across the world, I can only wish you and the millions of Muslims in our countries Eid Mubarak. And in doing so, let me propose a toast to the President and people of Nigeria. Niger no day carry last. Mr. President, in anticipation of Eid al-Fitr in Nigeria and across the world, I can only wish you and the millions of Muslims in our countries Eid Mubarak. And in doing so, let me propose a toast to the President and people of Nigeria. Niger no day carry last. Mr. President, in anticipation.
Now, we sing and speak of Ifejuna and Ogbabi Asika all the time. And some people don't ask themselves, is the spirit of Ifejuna and Ogbabi Asika still working to this day? Or did it just stop in 67 to 70s? No. The spirit of Ifejuna and Ogbabi Asika, those same blood, those same species who worked to sabotage Ojukwu and Philip Effiong, their offspring are still living today and spreading. They are the ones you see that are working so hard to destroy the effort of other people in getting Biafra. That is why you will sleep and wake up and you see one will come out and tell you, why should it be Simon Ekpa? Why should it be Okenkere? Why should it be Mazi Nnamdi Kanu? And the next thing you see, they now go and start opening or setting up splinter groups. Because that same spirit of Ifejuna, Ogbabi Asika, did not erase or did not die off. Even if the Ifejuna of 67 to 70s died, and the Ogbabi Asika, they died then. They only died as a person. But that curse which they brought upon themselves was not erased from their lineage and everybody that decides to practice their faith and to follow their footsteps. That is exemplifying today, and it is showing everywhere. So, those of you working so hard to see that you destroy the effort of BRGI on getting Biafra, remember that it is not just yourself that is making you to do some things. Just know that you have made yourself a vessel and a tool of Ife, Juna, and Ogbabiasika courses, and it is working on you. And I don't think there's anything that can deliver you. No, there's nothing that can deliver you. The only thing that will be able to deliver you is when the sabotage that you're doing consumes you and you just go and you're no more. That is when your deliverance will come. Your deliverance will come in the grave. Your deliverance will not come in this very earth. Because some of you, the only way to end your evil is when you're eliminated from this surface of the earth. Just like the terrorists that you see that were just eliminated in Iran. Chinese nationals were caught doing what? Chinese nationals were caught aiding Boko Haram terrorists. This one is not hearsay. This one is fact and figures. And the evidences are there. So if you haven't seen the evidences and you're wondering and you're asking yourself, why is it that everybody are talking against the Chinese nationals? Oh, that is what they've been doing for years in the contraption, and nobody talked about them. When you see that the US said every other country looks away from the genocide in Nigeria for many years, and it's been only America that took it to be important. Meanwhile, China, Russia, UK, Europe, and every other countries and continent in the world enjoys from the resources of Nigeria. But why is it only America that took it to cognizance that there is a genocide and that they have to do something to stop it? And then they did not just put their own business interests in front, they had to pause their business interests. And then they put forth the interests of humanity, the interests of the babies, women, and children that are being slaughtered on a daily basis. And they say they have to do something. But the Chinese nationals, the Russian nationals, the UK nationals, they cared less. That is why, as Nigerian president and their leaders visited UK, huh? You did not see them talk about the genocide in Nigeria. What they rather talked about was how they are going to send more criminals and those that have committed acts of terrorism, those that have been apprehended of internet scams, fraud, every criminal activities. They sign documents to receive all those criminals back into Nigeria system. But UK is taking something important out. UK is looking for the oil, while Nigeria are absorbing the criminals back into the country to come and join the Boko Haram terrorists to make the gangsters more sophisticated. Here now, you see a Chinese national taking the lead in flying drones. They are flying drones for Boko Haram. Why they make the money and then they share and everything goes in equality to them? Then you are at the mercy of the terrorists. While drones are being flown by Chinese nationals. One Nigeria. Make una listen to this video for those that haven't seen it, so that you wouldn't think, oh, it is a makeup. It's not a makeup. Listen to it. Chinese national. This is a Chinese man.
Agwaski zuwa ba. Amma wannan yana cikin wanda suke ɗauka aiki. Irin su ne amma. Dan shege ya ce daga cina da zuwa yi, ɗan buro ba. Ɗan buro ba, kashe shi hau. You leave China. You leave Chad. From Nigeria, when they carry this in the give Boko Haram. So they didn't kill us.
From China, N'Djamena,
Chad.
N'Djamena,
Eh,
Chad,
I know Chad.
pardon, Cameroon,
Nigeria. When inside bush, what thing carry go inside bush? What thing carry go inside bush? Inside bush. Eh. You dey crazy if inside bush then catch you. I say kin taji aka maka ba. Aka ciwo ban kai. Aka ciwo.
So this is how far it has gone. When you heard American government say that Chinese nationals are actually working to aid the terrorists in mining the resources and taking it out for their own interests while overlooking the genocide that is happening in Nigeria. And they're not just overlooking the genocide, but they are aiding the genocide because these terrorists make their money from the resources that they exploit. And if you have a Chinese national being the one officiating the Boko Haram terrorist drones, weapons of mass destruction that they are using to kill people, a Chinese national is sent to come and work with Boko Haram. A Chinese national is sent to come and work with Boko Haram to control drones for them, to fix and repair, and to show them how to maneuver and everything that they have to do. That is why, as they are killing you all on daily basis, you don't see the Chinese do anything about it. Because they know the deal they have with Nigeria. They know the deal they have with the terrorists. They know how much that they are gaining and what they are making from it. So what they rather do is to see the best option that will suit them. That is why UK called up Nigerian government to UK to come and have banquet. All their leaders, they came. It is to their own interest to see what they are going to gain and how much it will benefit them, not what it will benefit you. Not what will benefit you, but what will benefit them and how it will be better for them. That is what it's all about. And that's what you need to learn. But
Cameroon,
Nigeria. When inside bush, what thing carry go inside bush? What thing carry go inside bush? Inside bush. You dey crazy if that bush then catch you. I say kinta ja kama kaba. Kaka chu wankai. Kaka chu. Ba kwa suke zuwa ba. Amma wannan yana cikin wanda suke kawo kaya irin su ne amma. Dan shege ya ce daga cire zuwa yi, dan buro ba. Dan buro ba, kashe shi. You leave China, you leave Chad, come Nigeria, come they carry this thing they give Boko Haram. So we then kill us.
From China, and Jamaica,
Chad.
and Jamaica, Chad,
I know Chad.
Cameroon,
Nigeria. When inside bush, what thing carry go inside bush? What thing carry go inside bush? Inside bush. You dey crazy if that bush then catch you. I say kinta ja kama kaba. Kaka chu wankai. Kaka chu.
I will deny this one now. There's no way. Please join our fundraising tomorrow and our town hall meeting on Sunday. And do not be left out, please. We have a lot that is happening, and you need to key in to follow up everything that is happening. Do not be distracted by warmongers and those that want to be relevant. Stay focused and keep supporting BRJ. Our report card are there. We are not starting today. We've had records. So, except you want to chase clouds, you can start looking for those that are waking up today that wants to start becoming relevant. I salute all of you. And from me, from here, it is good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of you. There will.
But at the same time, what the Greeks and the Cypriots will tell you is while today Turkey acts like an enemy, there can only be true peace once Turkey fundamentally reforms. And so it's important when you speak and when you advocate for your cause, not only to promote the freedom for Biafra, but to argue and to recognize that Biafran freedom is going to be symbiotic. It's going to bring stability to the region. Biafra is going to be a model, not only for Biafra, it's going to be a model for Nigeria, so that Nigeria can get its act together, even as Nigeria heads towards the precipice. No one wants to, let me put it this way, many of you are familiar with the American satirical newspaper, The Onion. I remember a headline in that satirical newspaper after Russia invaded Georgia in 2008. It was a fake announcement by Condoleezza Rice, the Secretary of State, who was arguing that U.S. position is that no American allies should border Russia because it was just too difficult. The fact of the matter is, she was warning allies not to border Russia as if they have a choice. The fact of the matter is, it's in no one's interest, it's always going to be a problem for occupied Biafra and for independent Biafra to border a failed state, to border an irredentist state, to border an aggressive military dictatorship. Independent Biafra is going to need to recognize that as Nigeria fails, and let's face it, today it's a failing state, it's a building It's a 10-story building that's ridden with turbines. The fact of the matter is that every military leader inside Nigeria is going to try to distract their own Nigerian public by trying to whip up a frenzy against Biafra. So on one hand, you need to be prepared for that. And you recognize this because this is your history. But on the other hand, if there can be fundamental reform in Nigeria, then ultimately you will thrive and be the most prosperous country in Africa. Now, the other point I need to make, and this is not for the people here, but some of the people abroad, is that when you talk to Americans, especially non-Biafran Americans like myself, like congressmen and so forth, I am honored here to be with the acting Prime Minister. I hope someday to be with the non-acting Prime Minister, Simon Ekpa, as well, if he's ever sprung from his Finnish dungeon. But the fact of the matter is, as an American, as someone who obviously has no Nigerian heritage, it's not my job or my concern to decide who the leader of Biafra is. You ask any American like me, any white American, who cares about human rights, who cares about Biafran liberty, what I would say is, when Biafra becomes independent, all these disputes will fall by the wayside because you have monitored democratic elections. But if anyone starts to attack other Biafrans in the presence of European politicians, American politicians, United Nations diplomats, they are essentially creating treason against Biafra. Because what you're doing is giving evidence to your enemies that Biafra isn't serious. Now, let me give you one example. When I came to Washington and began working in foreign policy in 1999, one of the first people I met was a gentleman named Barham Saleh. He was the Washington representative of the Patriotic Union of Kurdistan. Now, the Kurds, I've referenced before, they're split between 4 different countries, so Biafra's a little bit luckier than this. At the same time, the Kurds in Iraq, in northern Iraq, are divided between 2 major political parties. One was Jalal Talabani's Patriotic Union of Kurdistan. The other was Masoud Barzani's Kurdistan Democratic Party. And between 1994 and 1997, these 2 Kurdish parties fought a civil war to suggest that anger among the Kurds wasn't high would be an understatement. They hated each other's guts. 2,000 people remain missing to this day from that civil war in northern Iraq between the Kurdish parties. And again today, that region is essentially divided. Barham Saleh had a rule as the representative of one of the 2 Kurdish parties in Washington, D.C. His rule was, I will talk Kurdish politics to other Kurds, but I will never talk Kurdish politics when someone else is in the room. Because the only message that Washington needs to hear is Kurdistan must be free. The only message that Washington must hear today is that Biafra must be free. Decisions with regard to the leadership of Biafra are going to be made by Biafrans themselves. But the most important issue for everyone, whether they are legitimate or, frankly, whether they are illegitimate, is that Biafra must be free. Don't tweet against your political adversaries. Take the high road. Don't talk about your rivals to congressional staffers. And if your rivals talk about you, You may feel that it does you a disadvantage. Let me assure you it does not. If the acting Prime Minister, if the acting Cabinet are the ones who are speaking softly and achieving things, creating a new currency, creating the structures of state, ultimately every serious congressman, like Chris Smith, like Mark, one of the most important staffers on Capitol Hill, they are going to recognize you for what you are. Because only amateurs talk about their rivals. Those who are legitimate, those who are serious, those who are here today are the people who advance their cause. And make no mistake, momentum is on your side. So I speak here today, and I'm concluding my remarks right now, by thanking you for your activism, by welcoming you to the halls of Congress, where you are free to talk to anyone, and you don't need to risk arrest, because again, your words we're not in Finland. We don't have to talk about the Helsinki standard. The fact of the matter is, I hope to be here when the United Nations General Assembly recognizes Biafra as the 55th or 56th African state. And I have absolutely no doubt